Yo, what up? This is My Name is Jump.
Yo, it's Kairos on the BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
BC Underground Hip Hop.
BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
Along with your host,
My man's Lil Bukkit.
Lil Bukkit, what's up?
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Lil Bukkit, and I'm back with the BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast. Today, we got a special guest with us. This is Clunky Boots. You want to shout yourself out on social media? Let everybody know where to get at you.
Yeah, just Google me. Every online store, my album You Will Like It, and my new release, Together, featuring Charity Monroe. All you got to do is Google the name, Facebook page or something will show up. I'm on Spotify and everything else. And my Instagram's kind of funny. A lot of wiener dog pictures.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely an interesting Instagram, an interesting approach to your social media.
Yeah. I'm not really good at pumping up the hip hop stuff on social media as much as I'm like, look at that fucking pile of firewood I got, man.
You just putting out things that you like, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Not that I don't like hip hop, just
no, it's good though, but
harder to post about, I think.
Social media is also more about who you are behind the music, so that's good that you do that. People kind of get to see a little bit more of the artist behind the music.
Yeah, I definitely haven't mastered it like a lot of these guys, but it's fun.
I mean, everybody has a different approach, right? Some people, they just put only music stuff, or some people don't even release very much at all on their Instagram. They'll have 2 or 3 posts a month, and then they'll delete them. Yeah,
for sure. Sorry, you cut out there for a second, but no, that's a big factor, and it comes down to marketing and how much money you want to put into it too. And I'm a cheapskate on the marketing, even though I know that's gonna bite me in the ass every time.
I totally feel you with that approach. I've done all my beats all free, all my promotions all organic. I don't share or buy any kind of marketing ads or anything like that. I just make my music, put it out, and if people listen, that's great. Yeah,
exactly. And that's all I want at this point in the game. Maybe capture a few more on the way, but my delusions of grandeur have gotten way more realistic goals as
that's good.
Time's gone on. Yeah.
Now, I kind of want to get into your entrance into hip hop. How did you start rapping? What was your inspiration?
Yeah, okay. Well, I started writing rap songs super young. It was actually funny. I'm from a really small town. There's 100 people there now. I'm at Fort Hardy. And my brother used to write these really gangster rap songs for me to recite for his friends. He thought it was really funny, heinously gangster stuff. And I was 8 or 9, but I was pretty good with my cadence and reciting it, so it made it even more funny. And then he moved away to college, and I just still at that elementary school age, really focused on writing a lot of poetry and even some short stories and stuff as time went on. Then I was in a band in high school, and right after high school, we kind of went around Canada playing just any open mic or any bar that would let us play. And then I got into trade school, and things just fizzled off. It was a decade.
I want to ask
you. Pardon me?
I want to ask you a little bit about that touring experience. What did you do in the band?
I was MC/singer.
You were the singer? Okay, need to know. Good to know. And,
And
what did you learn from doing shows at small venues like that as an MC? Because you really do have to control the room. Yeah.
One thing I learned is there's a lot of really good musicians and MCs out there, because I was from that super small town, and then we're at Horseshoe Tavern on a Wednesday open mic in Toronto, and it was everybody can sing and it's really good, right? So it was very humbling. I learned that it was kind of my moment where I was I am not going to be world famous. It was everyone was good, and then the other thing I learned is that I'm not as good of a singer as I am an MC. And that was kind of the point where I steered away from the singing aspect of things, or at least having large portions of songs singing, and moved right into kind of working on flow, because that was what my skill set was. That was kind of the things I learned the most. I still hadn't really loosened up with my performance level at that point. I was only 19 years old, and it was scarier then.
That's an early time to be going across the country. Early time.
Yeah. Well, that was my second time. We did it when I was 17. I went alone and did a little bit of performances.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then nothing for a long time. And then me and my wife, we had some kids and we moved to the Valley, and it was just kind of the first time where I had some spare money put aside. I had a pretty good industrial job, and it was like, you know what, I want to go record like a really decent sounding album. And that was where You Won't Like It came out. I had like 10 years worth of stuff in my head kind of rolling around.
Concepts you wanted to put out.
Pardon me?
Concepts that you wanted to put out, things like that.
Exactly, yeah. And then it just kind of, the ball started rolling from there. And then now I'm just like completely immersed in it again. Yeah.
That's awesome. When exactly did you start rapping again? Was it like before you released this or started to decide to go into the studio, or was it like the whole time?
At first, I was really just taking the route of like trying to just post online and get some attention and see if people liked it. And then what happened was a local rapper here, Addict 365, Chris Gladu, he saw something of mine on a Facebook page, one of my songs, I Got Love for Y'all. And that was before I was even Clunky Boots or anything. I was just Ron with Lachlan. And he reached out and said, hey, the Nasty North Boys are doing a show this Friday. You should come out and come up on stage and do one of your songs. We really like it, which was really nice of him. And that was my first performance. And I felt like I had gone like bananas. Like I felt like I went so hard, and everyone did really like it. But Chris afterwards was like, "Oh, it was great. You got to get more comfortable on stage." So I started going to that same bar every last Friday of the month and just performing a song or two until it kind of got until I had 45 minutes of music. And Chris still said like every once in a while he'd just drop like, "Hey, like, you know, like you still like your stage performance, you still don't look comfortable." So then I just started really just going ham and just doing my own thing and being weird. And that was when people really started liking it. So
that's awesome,
yeah,
man.
I don't know when I would have built up the confidence to go if he didn't reach out, but as soon as he did, I was stoked to go. And I was nervous though the first time. I was super nervous.
That's a really cool story. That's neat to hear.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, and he's still like we still chat quite a bit. So
yeah, that's awesome. You guys made like a good friendship out of that.
Yeah, there's like the Comox Valley's got a lot of really good local guys. We got
Sick,
who's insane.
Dude, there's so much talent there.
Yeah. It's it's nice to be able to brush shoulders with all these guys who are like me, like full-time job, family guys. But then we just go out on a weekend and
live your passion.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome, man. That's beautiful to hear. Now, when you released this album of yours, what was the reception?
Lots of hometown love. Because I went to high school in Port Hardy, and it's got like a few thousand people. And at first it was kind of like funny, like, oh, Ron still raps kind of thing. And then they started listening to it, and I had a lot of people just reach out and tell me they liked it. I get a lot of love from people who have a similar life to mine with the family thing and a little more of a like where work is a huge part of their life, and that work is, you know, kind of backbreaking work, and they're doing it for, you know, for the sake of providing, and that's something that I try not to make every song about that, but it does seep in for sure. The reception was good. I think at first, like a lot of people that I knew too that were close to me that hadn't heard my music were just surprised because they didn't know that I was doing this in my car the whole way to work and the whole way back every day. You know, like, and that's
the people you spend day-to-day life with. They don't realize, hey, this guy's making an album. Like this is and it's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah. And some of that album was done at like a professional studio so some of it, you know, it is at that, like that sound quality where it's like, oh shit, like this, he's taking himself quite seriously. And then some of it, I couldn't quite get there, but.
And so do you do home recording? Do you have a home studio?
No, like I said, I am computer. I'm not computer illiterate. Like I can make posts, but I can't do much more. Like I have a hard time downloading like PDFs on my phone.
I feel you.
So it was, yeah, and I can't play an instrument for the life of me. I just was too lazy. I wanted to as a kid, and then like as soon as I started learning chords of the guitar, I was like, this is hard.
I'll just sing.
Yeah, exactly. So no, nothing at home. That would be like a big jump for me. So no, I go to Dove Creek Studios, which is traditionally a country and bluegrass studio, but they've done some pretty reputable albums, and they're really good with me. They've given me great rates, and the thing is, I use the same engineer, Jeff, and Jeff used to do a lot of live show producing for big guys like. What's the guy's name? The guy that sings Waving Flag, Ken Young or whatever, and a lot of people like that. So he has a pretty authentic like hip hop understanding, and we're pretty fast at throwing it together now, as long as I'm well rehearsed. So works out good. That's the
thing. When you go to do a studio album, you kind of have to have everything like you can't be sitting there editing your pieces in the recording session, right? Like you have to have everything pinpointed and absolutely like exactly what key you're going to hit when you want to, if you're going to have some sort of melody in it, or if you're just going to be rapping, the flows that you're going to hit when your delivery is. You can't switch that stuff up in the recording because there's too much time and you're going to waste time. Time is money. Time is money.
Yeah, time is money. Oh yeah, big time. And that was kind of what started getting scary when I wanted a female vocalist working along with me, because like, well, now I'm working pretty efficiently because like I recite my songs. I go through probably my whole list of songs once a day. Like it's almost like an OCD thing. I recite a lot, but I don't have anything written down, so I'm always scared I'm gonna lose it too. Especially with new stuff. Like I'm so lazy.
Right.
So lazy. I can't even bring myself to like actually write things down. So I do feel pretty well rehearsed, but then having somebody else learn the songs and come in, I was really scared because the time can add up. And luckily, Charity Monroe, she like took it super seriously, loved the music, wanted to get together a bunch of times and like ahead of time, not being paid to go over it. And she just went in and just banged out all the new songs like so quick, 1 or 2 takes. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, when you now that you have all of this experience, kind of like of how you got into it and released your album, what would you tell yourself back when you were like 19, when you were doing, or 17 even, when you were doing music, singing? Would you have told yourself, hey, get into hip hop sooner, or what would your advice been?
I think I would have told myself to be like number one, don't beat yourself up, kid. Like you've got a long way to go, and not take myself so seriously. I think it's hard when you're at that age and you feel like you're good and you're kind of like, you have an expectation of how every performance should go. And it would get like, I wouldn't really have that much fun. It was definitely not the same experience it is now. I think that would be one. And I probably would also say like, it's gonna take some life to get to where you want to write the songs that you want to write right now. Because I was trying to be really deep, and I was trying to still talk about those things that were my values, but I hadn't really lived it yet. Yeah. So then, fast forward down the road, and things just changed dramatically. Like 4 kids and a bunch of moves, been married for like almost a decade, and it was like, okay, well now I've got the material. And I also am not taking myself that seriously. So it definitely, I don't think I could have done what I'm doing songwriting wise back then, because I just didn't have the life. It was just different. I was a guy wanting to write about things I didn't really know about yet.
You hadn't experienced yet.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. That's really cool to hear. Yeah. I remember when I was probably like 7 or something, I heard like a James Walsh track, and I related so much to it, but I hadn't lived anything like the song was telling me. And growing up, I always loved music so much, but I never really could understand or relate my personal experiences to it, and I didn't understand why I loved it so much, but I couldn't relate.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, there's some songs out there, man, that like it can be about something that I've still been nowhere near, and it's like it can take you there. That's good songwriting. You know?
Yeah, and 10, 15 years down the road, when you've had this life and you've experienced some things, you'll listen to that same song you were in love with as a child, and it'll really open your eyes to what the songwriter was saying, or it'll mean completely something different. And it's really cool to hear that.
Yeah, that's been happening to me a lot as I've been getting older, actually, like totally different takes. Fuck The Simpsons. I've been going back watching The Simpsons. It's a different show.
Yeah, man. So it's funny, some of the things that stand out when you go back and look at the things in history, and it's like,
oh yeah,
how did I miss that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, a lot of music. Well, I like used to not like a lot of gangster hip hop when I was younger because it felt so unrelatable to me at the time, and now I feel so silly about that because I go back and listen to it, and I'm like, well, yeah, no shit, it's not relatable to you. Like, look, you grew up in a small fishing village, it's different, right? But I listen to what the guys are saying, and it's like, especially like a lot of the early '90s stuff, and especially getting to like not gangster, but Souls of Mischief and stuff too. It's like this is amazing poetry.
Yeah, it's not even something that you have to relate to get and understand.
Yeah, for sure. And also, though, I'm not like, if somebody wants to write about something that they're not living, that's totally fine with me too. It's art, you know what I mean? As long as they know they're not living it.
Yeah, you definitely have to kind of be real and be humble about it and say, hey, I'm just writing about it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not my life.
Bruce Springsteen never worked in a factory, but man, can he write a good song about it.
Yeah, can he write a song about that? Hey, no kidding. So you say you never played any instruments. Have you ever considered like producing any of your own beats or anything like that? Do you make any beats?
I don't make any beats. I would rather use a beat that so a lot of my beats are leased. I'd rather use a beat that I don't own, and that even somebody else can just like throw down something on any day that sounds exactly how I want it to sound, than compromise at all. Like, it's so important because I can't make the music. I sift through beats for like hours and hours, just listening for once. And then as soon as something's kind of like, oh, that caught my ear, I put it aside. And then when one really catches my ear, that's the one I'm writing to at that moment. But no, because I wouldn't be that good at it. It would take me so much time. I don't want to compromise and have anything not sound the way it is. I try to never do like the free YouTube beat thing, but I lease a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So I pay like $25 or whatever, and I'm allowed to use it up to like, I think it's like 400,000.
Usually, they give you a limit on how many times you can get your plays and stuff, and then you just have to buy another lease. And I was actually going to ask you that. Do you consider buying exclusives? Have you bought exclusives, or have you only bought strictly leases?
Newer stuff, I'm starting to buy exclusives just because with having an extra vocalist come in, and like down the road, we're going to have Jesse, my guitarist for live shows, start to put his riffs over top of the songs too.
That's really cool.
So then that makes it like, rather than recording a song for $200, songs are like $700 kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like, well, I'd rather just own the beat. If that's only, 1/8 of the cost or whatever, if you're getting into that, because a lot of the exclusives aren't that much.
No, they really aren't, especially if you're talking to the right people. If you've built relationships with these producers, they really don't mind giving you good prices on, packages or something like 1,000 for 10 beats, and they're all custom. And these are people that work with, worldwide artists.
Yeah. Underrated, man. Producers are so underrated. It's ridiculous. And like how many people just want free music to like, and it takes time. It takes just as much time to write words, and more actually, like more to make it sound good, to make a beautiful piece of music. I definitely have a ton of respect for people that produce beats.
One thing I would mention about the free beats on YouTube thing, it's a great way to find producers that have beats for sale. There's a guy I found, his name's Luke White. His channel's Luke White on the Beat. Shout out to Luke. He's made a pretty good little following and business for himself of selling beats. And my whole heavy set thing that I did with the quote, everything we made was on a Luke White beat, and it was all free. And then
that's awesome.
yeah, and then one of the songs I made as a solo artist is Dabs Only. It turns out XXX Temptation bought the beat and made it as well. And,
Sweet.
And I was like, I thought that was crazy that, this kid he was one of the best rappers of all time, in my opinion. And, we found the same free beat on YouTube with an artist, and we made something with it. I was like, that just is so cool to me to have that.
That is crazy.
Nobody can take that away from me.
One thing about that too is, man, he had catchy songs.
Oh, X was crazy, bro.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. My wife listens to way more hip hop than I do,
Yeah.
Way more. I'm like, I'm pretty split up between the genres evenly, and she listens to a lot more. And she had his music playing, and he had already passed. So I got into listening to him way later. He'd already passed, and I was like, oh, this is the guy. And I started listening, and it, not that it wasn't sad before, but I think it becomes like his passing became way more real to me, because I'm like, wow, this is really beautiful music. Super poetic
guy, man.
Really good. Yeah. The other one she got me on was NF too.
NF's crazy.
Yeah, he is. He's insane.
Yeah, wildly talented. Super underrated too, because a lot of people saw him as like the Christian rapper for so long that they have a hard time looking past that.
I didn't know he was a Christian rapper.
Oh, for a long time, yeah, he was. He was known as like a Christian rapper, because you know how there's like that subsect of hip hop.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Sure.
And there's lots of dudes that are very successful with that, but it's hard to break away from that.
Yeah, well, it would be, but you can do it and make really good songs that aren't cheesy. You know what I mean? You just what was the other band? I can't remember who it was that I was listening to, and I had no idea they were a Christian band. And I listened to them a ton. It was a bluegrassy kind of band. But anyways, yeah, and one of my buddies who I worked with at the last job is like super Christian. He's like, oh, you listen to Christian music? I was like, wow. I've been listening to it for 2 hours. I'm like, oh, okay.
You listen to Christian music? He's like, no, you're like, no, not really. Well, you have been for 2 hours, man. That's classic, buddy.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. Now, what's your plans for the future with Clunky Boots?
I plan to be more regional. Okay. I really want to focus on not leaving the island at all for shows for 2020. Unless I'm going to try at festivals a little bit. It would really be awesome to get a festival spot. We will see. That's pretty ambitious.
Festivals are awesome, man.
Yeah, well, and it's good because we just keep trying to be more and more eclectic as we go, especially with our live performances. Yeah, but the big thing is like when I first got into it, I was like going out of town all the time. Any show I could get, I was going on it. And then I found that it was just not really feasible, and it also doesn't make a lot of sense because I still don't really have a local following at all.
You can really build your local following stronger by staying at home.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've started doing some shows, actually acoustic sets. We've been switching over and just pulling out the acoustic guitar and have our entire 2 hours of music also as an acoustic set. And we've been doing like smaller like tap house brewery kind of shows, and that's been working really good. So I want to stick local. I want to release the next 6 songs that I have that are all done with Charity Monroe over 2020 with better visuals. I've been super lazy on visuals, and I want to rebrand my old album because I didn't put into it what I wanted.
Right.
At the time, it was all I could put in. In the last 5 years, we've adopted 3 kids. Actually, 15 days ago, we just had a baby.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I finished up my Red Seal trade, and we bought the one house because we needed a good place for the first 2 kids, and then as soon as we decided we were going to do it again, we were like, okay, well, this place isn't big enough, so we did that move, and we've rented the houses, and I was working 55-hour weeks, so it's crazy times to decide to start this journey, where this year we're kind of like we're feeling done. we've met those personal goals. We've built the family we wanted to build. So it's going to be a little more of a 9-to-5 kind of job, and I'd like to rebrand that album with the energy I didn't have then by doing what I'm going to call Clunky's Tiny Shack Jams. So I'm going to do both live performances and some music videos. I got like an art studio in the backyard, a little 9x16 art studio, and me and Jesse are going to start getting set up with some proper GoPro cameras, get other local rappers in sometimes, and just kind of rebrand those songs in a little more silly way, and hopefully get a bit of following on BC Underground. I don't know why I want BC Underground people to like me so much. It's just like, for some reason, I don't even share on other pages anymore. It's like crazy. Like,
no, it's the only place to go.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's because you start to build a rapport with people, and you start to like get to know the characters, and you start to get to know like who are the people that just like will hand out the compliment because they like you, and who are the people that are like, you want to earn it a little more. Yeah. And but there's a big aspect of wanting to brand myself on there a little better, and that's kind of the goal for 2020. Have a lot of fun with it, basically.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about the BC Underground community is, and those kind of like asking people what do you think of this track? You find the people who will give you good constructive criticism, and they'll tell you what you're not. Or like Chris, how you found that with the shows, and you know, I found a couple guys who I've sent my music to, and they're like, yeah, it sounds great, it's mixed good, and I'm like, thanks, man, that's really not what I was asking you, but I appreciate the compliment. And then I've had other dudes who they'll have conversations with me until like 2:00 in the morning about one song I did, and they're invested. And it's not even something that they like need to be invested in. They just care, and they're like,
absolutely.
And they love hip hop, and they're like, bro, this is what you need to work on for it to sound right and sound good.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's definitely been like the people who have told me, and it was always the same thing in the beginning. Everyone said, you got to be more loose on stage. Like they'd say, like everything else, I was so focused of wanting the lyrics to be perfect and in the pocket that I just wasn't having as much fun. So the criticism I kept getting, and not from a lot of people, it was mainly Chris was one for sure. I remember one time he said it because I thought I had really let loose. It's so funny. I went to Powell River, and I even like fucking like jumped up on a stool, like going, and he saw the video and he messaged me and was like, "Oh man, you're really coming along. That's great." And then he's like, "You totally loosened up on stage, though. It took you a while to get into it." And I was like, "Fuck!" And I remember like a little bit being like, and then I was kind of like, "Yeah." When I went back and watched the video, like he's right.
Yeah, like, you got to take that criticism with a grain of salt and really like appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it only really comes from people who are actually thinking about how it could be better. Yeah. I don't remember what the original question was, but
yeah, no, it was just I don't remember either. But we're having a great conversation. This is good. So where did Clunky Boots come from? That's one thing I really wanted to make sure I ask you. How'd that name come about?
So I rock skinny jeans at work.
At work of all places.
I rock skinny jeans most of the time, but I like them at work. I think skinny jeans are pretty comfy.
Okay.
And I would wear
them.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it. I just want people to see me and skinny jeans. I like them. And I would wear my skinny jeans with my work boots after work, and my wife would always like call me Clunky Boots. And and then I just like remember the first time she said it, I was like, that'd be a sick rap name if I ever get back into it. And that was when we lived in White Rock back in like 2011. And then in 2016, when I started performing, I was like, yeah, Clunky Boots. That's
it. That's the one.
And it was the unruly creature because I just really liked that part. But I took that criticism pretty easy because a lot of people just said, it's too hard to type in. It's too much. It's too big of a link. You got to just have Clunky Boots. So I dropped the unruly creature. But I might still use it one day for something.
Maybe like an AKA in a song. Like my buddy called me a Goldfish the other day. Fucking Rob Ripka, the owner of BC Underground.
Yeah.
Because we're talking, and I called him Pepperidge Farms because this guy remembers every fucking thing. Pepperidge Farms remembers. And then so he's like, yeah, well, you're a Goldfish. I was like, actually, that's a pretty good rap name. Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's fire. And so I was like, I'm going to use that as my AKA. I'm going to be Lil Bukkit, AKA Goldfish. Because I can't remember anything. It's perfect.
That's perfect. Yeah. Bob Awful is the best rap name I've ever heard.
Yeah, Bob Awful is the best.
When he posted the thing about Bob Awful, I felt more envy that he thought of that than I do about like some of the guys that are like killing shows. I was like, it's like if I could go back in time, Bob Awful would be my rap name, because that is a really fucking rap name.
Oh, it's classic.
I love that. It is. It's perfect. Yeah. The rap name thing, like, man, again, back to when I was younger, I think I would have told myself, like, yeah, don't take yourself so seriously. Don't try and pick a rap name that is a super serious play on words. Not that that's a problem if people do it, but it didn't suit me. And I always felt cheesy. So, like, I had all these different ones I tried, and every time I was just like, fuck, it's just not me. It didn't, I wanted something that was a little more silly. And Clunky Boots fell into place. Nobody forgets it, although half the time it shows people think I say funky boots.
I got some stinky shoes, fam.
Yeah. And then like, I can't find you. Like, people will come up and be like, I can't find you on Spotify. What is it? And I'm like, Clunky Boots. They're like, yeah, funky boots. And I'm like, Clunky.
That's so funny that it started out as a nickname from your wife, bro.
Yes. Yeah. She was a big proponent of it all. She was the one that got me doing it again. Mainly just because she could tell that I wanted to, and she was like, you got to just go. Now is the time.
And it's awesome that she listens to hip hop and she supports that genre of music.
Yes, yeah, it is awesome. She is super supportive.
Does she come to your shows?
She does come to my shows, less now because we have like a basketball team of children.
Right.
Almost. The last one she came out to was a few months ago, and she was like super pregnant. So I like tried to find her the comfiest chair there. She's really supportive. It's been, and that was like something I had to learn too, because I was like, it can't be an inconvenience to our life. Like the next, like guys get mad about leaving early for shows. And a lot of times I want to stay and boogie, but I'm like, I can't, I gotta get home.
That's the thing though.
I got a big day to make.
Like, people can't rely on artists to stay at the shows. That's where the people who are staying at the shows are the people who buy tickets. If someone shows up to open and they have, X amount of time to get the show performed and then, meet a couple fans, shake a couple hands, and then get out of there, that's what they got to do, man. And you got to respect that that's what the artist has to do as a promoter and as a artist on the bill. If there's someone that had to leave, you got to respect that, man.
Well, I'm sure you see a ton of my posts about my feelings of the current setup of hip hop shows, and I couldn't agree more. Agree more. And it's tough because I feel like when I say the shit that I say on BC Underground, I'm not trying to be mean. Actually, I felt bad the other day. I posted something about how I felt about the show setups, and then I realized I was like, I did that on a promotional post, and that was a dickhead move. And I wanted to backtrack and apologize, but I should have.
If you think about it, though, it's kind of good that you did say it, though, because it's relatable content that people can think about.
Yeah, and I think even if we change the language, we have this weird hard aspect in hip hop of like we say things really like fucking like principle, like you gotta pay your dues. And I'm always like, well, couldn't we say that in a different way? Like, hey, it's a big help if you sell tickets. Because I think if somebody said to me, rather than like you gotta pay your dues, it would really be a big help if you could sell some tickets, I would probably approach it a little different. But as soon as you make it sound like that's the only route to show that you're working hard, because the selling ticket thing is weird to me. Like I come from a background of other music. We played a lot of punk and rock as well. And we didn't do hip hop shows. We did multi-genre shows, and people paid at the door or they bought tickets from the venue. There wasn't this aspect of like meeting a stranger at like 7-Eleven or whatever to get a ticket. It was just you just clicked online or you went and paid at the door. So there's this thing to me that's like, I'm not trying to rip on people that are doing that. It just like, I don't understand how it's not super inconvenient for them. Like,
my thing is,
Sorry, you go.
Yeah, here I'll give you a little bit of a point of view from my perspective. The thing is, it's a business structure that works for some people in certain cities, and I know this from Kamloops. It's like 100,000 person. I think it's a little more than that, 120,000, maybe more. I left, so I don't know the population, but it was 100,000 basically when I was growing up, and that's enough people. So when you go out and you go to school and things, you meet a lot of people, and then our Facebooks would be lit. We'd have so many fans or not fans, so many friends on our Facebooks. And then when you start making music, you say, hey, you make a post. I've got some tickets for sale for this show. And then a bunch of people come out and they buy tickets just because they know you and they're going to be going anyways. Right. And then smaller cities, a lot of people that come from smaller cities don't see that aspect of it. They're like, man, I know like 500 people on my Facebook. Like, and then 10% of them are going to want to come to this show. And then 5% of that will pay. So it's like,
well, and I think you hit the good point about the bailing thing. A huge part of ticket selling is that if you get somebody to buy that ticket, who cares if they bail? The money's still been paid, right? So it comes from like, there's a security aspect, but you can also just like try and convince your homies to buy them online from the venue too, right? And I think that's my thing is I just don't want to be inconvenienced to leave my house.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I don't see the benefit of selling tickets. If I was going to do a ticket sale show, I would want to be the headlining act and have the openers selling tickets for me to pay. Yeah. That would be me. Well, because I've done so many ticket sale shows where like I made a profit and it was all right and I hustled those tickets and I got to open for world-class acts and all that and build my skills as like a performer and like you say get comfortable, because it was weird, man. I started battle rap to learn how to rap, and like people start battle rap to show their skills in battle rap or their skills in rapping.
Dangerous way to learn how to rap. That's a dangerous
very dangerous way to learn how to rap. And I got nervous in battles. I never got nervous on stage. I would be opening for Tech 9. I'd be opening for, Swollen Members or Mercury or Snack. And I'd be having the time of my life because none of the people in the crowd are battle rappers judging every word I say.
Yeah. That's a huge part.
Because I'd go to battles and the whole crowd is all people who rap, and they're like, this, well, that sucked. Oh, that was pretty good. And it's like that kind of pressure, man, it really, really, really builds confidence for you.
It's a vicious culture.
Yeah. It's very vicious. It's very vicious.
It's beautiful, yeah. But like, it's kind of like, I'll see those friends that like, there's like a group of friends and they like rip on each other super hard. I'm like, those guys love each other. I'm glad I'm not a friend. I would have hurt feelings. That's exactly what battle rap. I'm like, I respect you. I don't want to go.
Oh man, and trying to sell tickets to a battle rap event, like bring your shows out or bring your friends out to a battle show. It's like, don't even try it, man.
Harder, significantly.
Oh, significantly. Well,
I can see that.
Yeah, because then I got a friend like you who doesn't necessarily rip on me, but he sees me ripping on my buddies and he's like, yeah, that's nice, but I'll watch it from afar. I don't actually want to go to the event.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd get mad at someone saying something about you. And right? And it's like, yeah, okay, I can see that. So yeah, don't come.
It's like, and it's also like something that when I was younger, I thought I wanted to do. I thought that like, well, fuck, 8 Mile came out when I was like in grade 6 or whatever, right? So like, there was this aspect of like me liking rap and being like thinking that battling was kind of the be all end all. And then it's over time, it just get like, I don't even really care if people think that I'm like have crazy flow. There was a time when I was even flow focused, and now I just want to make beautiful songs. So it's changed so much. But I think if you would ask me like 10 years ago, I would say like, yeah, I'd jump into a battle for sure. Like I'm about that. And I remember actually like having like battles, like, it's so embarrassing, battles in like parking lots, like with guys or like small town. We go like rap or whatever. Oh, I can only imagine what we looked like to people. Like, unemployable at that point.
Passerbys, The only thing we looked like were unemployable.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's
But
a
now
bar.
it's
Like whether or not you realize it, that's a pretty hard bar, bro.
but now it's just like, it's so much less focused about skill, and just I just want to make songs that sound the way I want them to sound and say what I want them to say. Like,
Yeah, and you know what? If people like them, that's good.
yeah, and if they don't, fuck them.
Yeah, that's not for you. They're not. Those aren't fans for you. And you got to build your fans your own way, man. I think that's really smart that you're doing music the way you want to do it, because too many people try and make music for other people, and it doesn't translate.
Yeah, I can feel myself wanting to sometimes. Do you ever feel that? Like you
Oh
want?
yeah, always.
Yeah.
It's something I have to, an urge I have to fight when I'm writing a song. I'm like, okay, well, how would this sound good to someone else? I'm like, no. Like, what do I want to say?
Yeah.
I got to remind myself, like, because I've made lots of songs where I just have, it's so much filler, and it's like, it sounds like it would be a really good line, but then none of it really goes together. Like, I'm not saying anything. And I think message is so much more important than, you know, flow or delivery or tone of voice or, you know, your style. I think what your message is so much more important than anything.
Yeah. I think the things I value the most of the people I listen to is actually message and then presentation. Like, it is like, people hate on Macklemore, and but when I listen to that, like, This Unruly Mess We've Made album, his cadence and the way he delivers a song, it's flawless, and the beats are perfect. And even sometimes when I'm like, oh, that was kind of cheesy or whatever, I let it slide because of his cadence and how he carries his song. But then some of his songs, like White Privilege too, and a few other ones on that album, were just like, it was insane. Like, it was a perfectly wrapped up message. It was a full concept, that had like A, B, C, and D. This is how I feel about it. This is how people are acting about it. This is how the people are acting makes me feel about it. This is how I worry that people see me in this situation. Like, to be able to do that in a song and do that in the proper order, it's pretty insane.
Yeah, it's good writing.
I try not to hate on mainstream guys, because a lot of the time there's really good writing in there.
I try not to hate, period, man. I noticed a lot of the people that I used to hate on when I was a kid, like, I look at them now and their success, I look at it in a much different way now. I try to look at people's success and just kind of be happy for them. If someone's successful, I just try to just be happy for it and kind of see what I can learn from it.
Big time. But I'll tell dudes if I'm jealous of them too. And sometimes that makes people uncomfortable. I can tell. I did that just the other day. I was like talking to Octave 6, and he was talking about doing a song with Surreal. And those are like probably my two top favorite BC artists.
I can see that. Surreal's awesome, dude.
He's insane. And he's super nice. He was actually the other guy, like, when I first got into it. Oh man, I could tell some embarrassing stories about messaging people too. I didn't know what I was doing, like, and I had no idea who to reach out to. So I was watching some videos. Like, I basically Googled Vancouver Island rapper, and Surreal was one of the first people that came up. And I listened to his song "Not Like Me." I was like, this is insane. Like, he's really good. And I listened to a bunch of his music, and I was like, I'm gonna message this guy and just ask for advice. So I just wrote a couple paragraphs of like, hey, just getting into this, like, fresh into hip hop, looking for some good people to reach out to about shows. When I'm doing shows, do I have to provide equipment? Like, I didn't even know if I was supposed to show up. Use booking agents, and he gave me like a list of people to talk to, recording advice, studios. Was so nice about it, and that instantly just makes you like a guy and want to support him.
Totally.
When they're approachable like that. And there's been quite a few people in BC hip hop who have been really approachable and easy to talk to. So that was a big help. He was one for sure. One of the most embarrassing things I did, super embarrassing. Another person I messaged, and it was funny because I was looking up an old buddy from high school who raps, who still lives in Port Hardy. So he doesn't do a lot of shows. He just posts stuff online. His name's Smoke, and I was like, oh, okay, like, Smoke's doing this. I'm looking at his videos. He had like 600 views or whatever, and I was like, oh, like that, that I want to be able to do that. this seems like a realistic goal for down the road. And I'm looking through his videos and like, well, maybe I'll talk to him about collabing. We never got around to it, but we should. And I was looking at people he was rapping with to see if there's any other people to reach out. I'm like, wow, this one guy on this video is insane. Like, he's a fucking monster. I'm looking at the video and I think it was a little bit more. It was noticeably more views, but not a lot, like under 2,000. And I was like, oh, like, I'm going to reach out to this Cole Stevens guy and see who he is. Like, I messaged him like, hey, just get into hip hop. Like, notice you did a song with my buddy Smoke. We should totally do a song together sometime.
Oh my God.
And then like the next day I was talking to somebody at work and I was like, yeah, I reached out to this one guy who was really good. And he's like, what's his name? And I'm like, I think his rap name's like Mercury. And he just turned to me and he's like, what? He's like, you just messaged Mercury? I was like, yeah, is he like a big deal? And then he showed me like his music and I was like, oh fuck. I like had a stomach ache. I was so embarrassed. I'm like,
oh, that's so funny, bro.
So hopefully he just forgot. Yeah.
No, definitely. I know. I can guarantee you, Merc has seen that message and he knows all about it.
Yeah. It was really, and it was like within 24 hours, I realized what a big deal he was and was listening to songs and was like, I'm an idiot. Like,
man, it's so funny, dude. Like, people don't think that like Mercules is very reachable because he's as big as he is. But honestly, man, you send the guy a message, and if you see that he's seen it, it was him that opened the message and he read it.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's that easy.
Well, I mean, features are funny too, right? Because people do a feature with a big artist, and sometimes it doesn't go that far, right? And so like I just looked at the views on the song and was like, oh, like how famous can they be? And then I looked at the views on his songs the next day and was like, oh, like really fucking famous.
Yeah.
And I just like reached out and was like, we should do a song together. I've been doing this for 3 weeks. Like,
I mean,
here's a rough recording.
Dude, there's this thing, like when Mercury started rapping, he did features for like, I think $200 to $500 for probably like 2 to 3 years. And almost everybody who asked him for a feature, he would jump on it. I know.
Really?
Yeah. The Quote has a feature with him from like 2015, 2014 or something. And I know maybe 100 other people that have features with him. And if you multiply 200 by 100, that's quite a bit of money just for rapping. Just for rapping. Like, I mean, and look at the guy now. All of that, every one of those people he did a feature with had fans, and they all heard him ripping the verse, just killing that song.
Yeah,
because he won't just do some crappy mediocre verse for you if you pay him $200. So that's something you got to consider when you're like, if you're going to take that market route where you're saying, okay, I'm going to feature on anybody who asks me, you better be good at writing. Because you're gonna have to write a lot of songs, and people who listen to them, you have to just be better than the person who you're doing the feature with. Otherwise, what's the point of doing the feature, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's got to be a goal.
Well, and a huge part of like what made me, and I don't like I know people, you're not supposed to say, I don't listen to a lot of Mercules just because like I only listen to so much hip hop. But there is this funny thing where like when he's got a live video going, I find myself clicking and watching because he is like he's a likable guy. Like when he's doing his thing, and like even the way he responds to people on BC Underground stuff, he's fucking funny.
He's hilarious.
He's really likable. So, but yeah, that was one of the most embarrassing ones I did. But I did a few things like that. I had no idea. I was just like just throwing myself into things with no plan. And like a couple rough recordings and just thought like, I think at the time I thought like, oh, someone's going to really like my music and it's just going to take off. And then like a year later, I was like, I was an idiot.
That's awesome, like, man. It's good to have that though, to look back on.
Oh yeah. The first year was full of a lot of lessons for sure. Yeah. For sure. Like make sure the promoter pays you before you see him disappear for the night. I had a couple of those, like the show in Powell River where like, I just realized, like, I looked around, the promoter was gone. It was the end of the night. I was like, I'm not getting my money.
I haven't been paid. What happened to that?
Or not only am I not going to get my money, my hotel room is a non-existent hotel room.
Oh, God.
And -4 weather.
I can't count how many times I slept in the back seat of my car just because no hotel.
Yeah. So I'm going to stay local, so I don't have to do that.
There you go. No, but you can totally build a following local, and then once you've got a good following, you can start doing the regional thing, and those people will see, hey, this guy's got 10,000 followers locally. Maybe we'll pay him $10,000 and give him a hotel.
Yeah.
Not quite.
That would be.
It's not quite going to be like that. The numbers I'm giving you are super hypothetical.
Well, even and again, like I don't know why I'm saying again. I never said it before, but the money aspect isn't really important to me either. Like I don't think I ever thought it was going to be a job of mine to do music. So that does relieve some pressure. Like I try not to lose money, but I do. But I'm pretty comfortable in my career. And like I'm a good carpenter. I hit it off on job sites. I tend to stay places for a long time and get along well with people. So like it was never about that. And I did kind of build a career before I got into the music again. So I don't stress too much about getting a lot of money from a show, but it is nice when it happens. But a lot of the times, like I'll still do a free show locally if it's at a good venue or I know there's going to be 80 people at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fun because ultimately being on stage is really, really fun.
You know, something really cool to take into perspective is, Junk he just quit his job this year. He was able to make it a full-time thing. Yeah. And that's something you could do too if you see fit. It's just something that you got to want to do. Right?
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be able to make enough off of music to pay for the 4 mouths, but we'll see.
Yeah.
No, I know that's not happening. But even if I could just be known as a wicked BC rapper one day, like I've got a long-term plan. Like I'm still going to be doing this so far down the road. There's definitely no sign of like giving in because I'm not getting to where I want. And I think that is good for me. Because if I get unrealistic with my goals, I can get really discouraged. So like my goal is like a decade down the road to be like, people be like, hey, have you heard of Clunky Boots? He's a pretty sick BC rapper. And that would be more than enough for me.
That's good. Yeah. That's your end goal kind of thing. And you don't even need to stop once you reach your end goal. You've just done it.
Yeah, exactly. And then
the sky's the limit from there.
Eventually learn an instrument, maybe.
Hey, now you're thinking.
Yeah, probably not though.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think we should wrap it up now. Anything else you want to throw in before we cut her loose?
No. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely.
That was awesome. We've never actually chatted in real life. We've always got along online, so that's dope.
Yeah. The show, bro.
Check out my music if you want to, and if you don't, that's cool too.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay. Peace out, brother. Cheers.
Yo, what up? This is My Name is Jump.
Hey, I'm Dylan Bell with Log Files Media.
Yo, this is Lil Turtle.
This is Lil Sparka.
What's going on? It's your boy Hooper turned Sam.
Yo, what's up? This is JML.
This is Natty Snaps. Yo, it's Kairos on the BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
BC Underground Hip Hop.
You listen to BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
Love Force all day, motherfucker.
Turtle Gang.
Kairos season, baby.
Get it because you need it.
Watching this, y'all are my people.
Wow.